The following is a podcast from thefinalsprint.com, the internet's premier running, fitness, and nutrition publication. Start here, finish strong.
Hi, Pete. I really appreciate you taking the time to do the interview with us the other day. I just want to do a little follow-up now that the race is upon us. So kind of not used to this, all this crazy media attention. I mean, I just saw you answer questions from reporters for the last several hours. What kind of wear and tear do you think that takes on you, just mentally draining?
It's not that bad. I mean, I'm sitting here. I got a comfortable chair. I got plenty of water. I'm comfortable, and I think it's just kind of what you want to make of it. You could easily get stressed out with it and make a big deal out of it, but it's just talking about the race. And if I was sitting here without any reporters, without anybody asking me questions, I'd be thinking about the race. So now I'm just talking about it. So it's not really that much of a leap, and we still got a couple days before the gun goes off. So there's plenty of time to get this in, stuff time to get your head back together. It's a problem, but I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Sure. Now maybe at this marathon more than ever, you're doing a lot of marketing, obviously wearing your garb from your new sponsors. Is it like really setting in that, life is different with sponsors, more responsibilities, but obviously it's also enabled you to, do a lot more things, like go out to Flagstaff and, really train the way you want full time?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's, it's just been really gradual the way it's changed over the last couple of years. So it's not like a really dramatic thing where you go from working 50 hours a week to nothing. It was never like that. And it's something that I've always really treated myself as a professional athlete and tried to make life decisions based on that. And so now that I've gotten to that level of support, it's something I've always kind of had in my head as my own vision of myself. So now that I'm there, it's not that big of a leap.
Well, congratulations on that. But what's kind of been kind of drummed into everyone's head already is this constant theme of you being this incredibly hardworking person, and rightfully so. That was pretty much refusing to quit, kind of the Rudy of running here. But when you were in college, you were an okay runner. You didn't finish third at the Pac-10s, but what gave you the motivation, or the inner strength to know that I haven't necessarily succeeded so much so far, but it's going to happen?
I think in college I was good and I was inconsistent. There was a couple of times when I raced really well, and given the quality of the guys I was running against in the Pac-10 those years, I mean, you had Bernard Lagat, you had Nev Keflezighi, you had Abdi, you had the entire Stanford juggernaut. I mean, if you could run well against those guys, it wasn't that much different to go out and run well professionally. And having a couple really good performances, even if it was inconsistent and there was bad ones in between, you could kind of say to yourself, maybe there's something more there. And I really like running, and especially when you look at getting to the longer distances. At the time, I thought, well, I'll be a marathoner eventually, but I didn't want to do it for a few years after college. And eventually, it was like, through frustration with the shorter events, that I decided to move up. But yeah, it was, it was always the goal. The goal was to run at the highest level, and that's never changed, and it's still my goal, because I don't think I'm there yet. Keep getting closer, but there's always improvement.
Sure. I mean, it's real impressive that you're able to really just stay so perseverant and so driven that whole time. Speaking of a little inconsistency, was that kind of also your strategy, just knowing that things will get better? It's just a low point, kind of with your performance in Helsinki, because you sandwiched that with two very good performances at Boston, and you did well in 2006 again. Is that kind of the way that you handled and bounced back from that race in 2005?
Yeah, you bounce back because it's the excitement of the challenge. When you screw something up, you think, okay, what did I do wrong, first of all? What's the next chance for me to change things to get it right, and then go out and test it? So it's like, as soon as Helsinki went bad, I was just dying to get ready for New York, because I wanted to go back and make it right. And in New York, I did well, but 17th, I was looking for maybe a little bit higher, and the time wasn't quite as fast as my PR, but it was still solid. I was thinking, okay, I could really run better than that. I got Boston coming up in 6 months, so let's tackle that challenge. And it's just kind of gone, time and time again. Even this past fall at the ING New York City Marathon, I was 10th place, and I was thinking, that's great. I was first American. I was 10th. I didn't quite run as fast. I thought maybe I could run 2:10. Ended up running 2:13. So looking at that, it was like, well, what were the changes I could have made? Where did the problems arise in the race? How can I iron those out? So it's a relentless kind of struggle to iron out these problems and get the training just right, and get the race day strategy just right. And a lot of that is instincts, because when you're out there running a marathon, there's 2 hours of decisions and a lot of things that can go wrong, and it's up to you to really be smart about that.
Speaking of the, you were always trying to improve upon yourself and kind of always raising the bar of expectations. So, now it's pretty safe to assume that you're really looking for top 10. That's what would be success for you, is to, at least move up a rank.
Yeah, with this Boston Marathon coming up, I was 7th last year, so going into my goal is to finish higher than that. Pretty simple. I mean, I think if I do that, I'd be satisfied. If I could finish in the top 5 or the top 3 or win, each one of those is a higher level of satisfaction. But even if the thing goes perfect, there's still, there's always something that you look back on and go, well, maybe I could have done this a little better, or that. And that's really it's kind of the little irritant that gets you back out there in training and gets you focused, and you want to iron out those problems. So the next time you come back and you're chasing that perfection, but you never get there. Most of the time you don't even come close, but even if you did, you still wouldn't get there. There's always something.
Sure. I mean, everyone's pretty much focusing on the now for you, because obviously, the most successful part of your career has been in the last few years. But taking us way back, how did you first get into running? What is it like the sport of of your choice when you were a kid?
I first got into my parents both ran. My mom she's run a bunch of marathons. She started running when I was born, and so she'd take me out to little road races that she'd do, 5Ks, 10Ks, whatnot. And so I'd watch her, and eventually as I got a little bit older, I'd jump in and just run for fun. So I was always kind of aware of it. I remember watching Salazar win New York when I was a kid on TV, and I remember watching Boston's on TV and LA Marathon. I watched the '84 Olympics on the side of the road, because I grew up in LA. Went out and watched the marathon there. I remember seeing Greta Weitz go by in the women's race, and it wasn't. That makes it sound a little bit more hardcore than it was. It wasn't. It was just more of some. It was a part of the family and a part of life. It wasn't like I was out there doing any training or anything. I was on a swim team when I was younger, so that kind of helped with the aerobic base, I guess. But it wasn't really until high school when I was really competitive. Like, I think the same way for a lot of runners. You get into high school and suddenly you're doing cross country, you're doing track, and that was it. It just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, even as a matter of fact, generally runners will end up playing another sport and not even wanting to be a runner. Jim Ryan started as a baseball player. He didn't make the team, so he started running. But that's a pretty impressive list of running accomplishments that you were able to see and grow up with. Anyways, thank you again for joining us for this, and good luck on Monday.
Thank you.